Welcome to Creative Conversations with Roger Humphrey, the fine arts podcast where I get to talk with composers, performers, authors, visual artists, filmmakers, and others in the arts. Before we begin, please hit the like, follow, or subscribe buttons. It's a very easy thing to do, and it goes a long way towards supporting the channel, and it really does help a lot. Hey, if you or someone you love plays guitar or ukulele, please consider visiting my website at www.rogerhumphrey.com and looking at the many things I have to offer. Much of it's for free. If you like what you see, please take a moment to subscribe. I promise I won't send you any spam, just occasional updates. And we are welcoming to the program writer, author, essayist, columnist, Betsy Vereckey. Hi, Betsy. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, Roger. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a treat. It's a treat. So, okay, the first thing I have to say, okay, is that I love your book.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
I did not pay him to say that.
Now you tell me. I was expecting a check. But you have this wonderful book called Moving to My Dog's Hometown. Mm-hmm. Yay. And I just found it to be an absolutely delightful read. This is your first book, right?
It is. It is.
Well, can you give us a thumbnail sketch of what it's about, and then we'll move on from there?
Sure. Well, as they say, when you write a book, you want the title to do a lot of work. And so I think the title does a lot of work. I actually tried on a bunch of different titles, and this was the one that everybody liked the best. So at some point, you just have to say, okay. But yeah, so basically, I was living in New York City. And the universe was not being subtle that it wanted me to make a change because my job was terrible. My apartment was terrible. My love life was terrible. So basically, everything kind of collapsed at the same time. And the traditional ways that I had done in the past of, okay, well, I'll just move to Brooklyn, or I'll just move to a different neighborhood, or I'll get a different job, but I'll stay in New York. None of that worked anymore. And I decided to make a giant change, which was I moved to Hanover, New Hampshire, which is a small town. It's the home of Dartmouth College. It's very Gilmore Girls-ish, the covered bridges everywhere. And I had little experience with this town. The only thing I really knew about it was that I had been there when my ex-husband and I picked up our dog, this type of terrier from a very quirky couple who had been breeding this dog for a very long time. It's called the Glen of a Mall Terrier. I tell people it's the cutest dog you've never heard of. And this woman and I, this dog breeder, her name is Susan, we stayed in touch. And she and her husband were retiring, and they were converting their house so that part of it was an apartment. And she said, well, why don't you just come here and be our first tenant? And I thought about it, and I wasn't sure. I mean, my friends were like, what? You're gonna, like, what are you doing?
You're leaving New York City for that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I had just had enough. I remember, I think it was the night I was like walking Ronan in the park in Brooklyn, which actually sounds
Ronan
like
is your dog.
Yes, Ronan. And actually, he has since passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But yeah, he has left me so much wonderful joy. But yeah, so as I say, I didn't have anything. I mean, I didn't know anything about New England. I didn't even have a car. I didn't have snow tires. I rented a car, and I had a duffel bag, and I had Ronan, and I headed north. And I thought I would be living in Hanover for 6 months, and it has been almost 10 years.
Oh my.
and I'm still here. I'm not in Hanover. I'm in a town that's now like 10 minutes away, but I'm remarried. I'm freelancing and work that I find meaningful. I love working for myself. I think you probably can relate to that,
I do.
setting your own schedule. And yeah, so it's really just about like why did this random decision work out for me when I never thought it would, and quite frankly, when the people around me never thought it would. And so really that's what the memoir is an exploration about like how do we end up certain places and why do these things work out? It was a decision that wasn't supposed to it, work and it did. So yeah,
Well,
that's what my book is about.
it's an absolutely delightful story, and I'm sorry to
Thank
hear the
you.
passing of Ronan because I became very fond of Ronan through the book. So I do have to say that your writing style is very easy. It's easy to read, and there's with all of the I'm going to say pain because that sounds a little dramatic, but with all of the discomfort and upheaval in your life at that particular time, you're able to find some humor here and there, and what I will tell you is that I read the line, and I can't forget this line. I don't like to cook because it disturbs the mice in my oven. And I will tell you that it's painful to have coffee squirt out your nose. But that's a funny line, and there are a number of others in there, and so it's easy to I think wallow in self pity if you're not careful, and
Hmm.
this isn't that.
Yeah.
And but what caused you to write a memoir like this? I mean, to begin with, you're terribly young to be writing a memoir, but
Oh, God bless you. I'm about to be 46.
I got socks older than that. So
Well, God bless you. I I actually I was really lonely. And I think that the writing process and being alone with my creativity was actually a really nice friend for me.
ah,
I felt like I suddenly didn't really fit in anywhere because, well, actually, what I was going to say is you had asked why write a book like this. Well, initially thought I was going to be writing a book about what it was like to get divorced in your 30s
hmm
because it was really weird. I had, friends who were, already married, like on their third kid,
sure.
and I was suddenly starting over. And I thought I was going to actually be writing a book. This is when I thought I was still going to be living in New York City about just kind of starting over in your mid 30s. And I I guess I just followed the story as it was happening. Like I wrote the book as I was experiencing it. And I remember when they say, bad for real life, but great story material. So I really was given a lot of that. Which I think is, I think readers want to know, well, how is she going to get herself out of that? And quite honestly, I didn't know as I was writing it because these things were just happening. Like, especially when Andrew came along, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work out. But yeah, so I guess I wrote it because I was just trying to work it out. And I'm the type of person where I work out a lot of stuff through the writing process. Even, in my day job, I'm still a journalist, and some of the stuff I do is like, I talk to professors and stuff, and some of their stuff is pretty complicated, and I have to work it out through the writing process.
Hmm.
So I think that's where I started to kind of make sense of my memoir and like why this was happening to me and like what did I make of it. Um, so yeah.
So it's quite a jump from I have to believe writing essays and columns and things like that to writing. Now, did you keep like a daily journal or a weekly journal or anything like that, or you just
Yeah.
kind of off the top of your head?
Yeah, no, when I started going through my divorce, I started doing this thing called morning pages, which is just a fancy way of saying I was writing 3 pages every morning,
Okay.
handwriting in a notebook. And it's um, Morning Pages was started by this author named Joya Cameron, and she wrote a book called The Artist's Way. And a lot of people do it whenever they're feeling creatively stuck. So yeah, I do, and I still do it, and 3 pages every morning. I really, no matter where I am, if I'm traveling or I always take the notebook with me, and so I can say that I've written something every day. There's no pressure. The first page is usually kind of what I did yesterday, what I ate, But then by the third page, you really start to unlock. Even this morning, I did my pages and I was like, well, how am I feeling today? Just even that little subtle check-in. Yeah. So
So,
that's kind of
so
how I
you're
start my
able to
day.
accumulate some stuff through that, and then what? Like rewrite and assemble and
Yeah, and I was writing my memoir as it was happening, but I did a lot of revisions and I did go back and look at my morning pages because I was definitely unpacking stuff that was happening to me in those morning pages. So it almost became source material.
uh-huh.
Because what happens is like I was saying, what did I eat yesterday? I mean, you really start to forget things.
Sure.
Um, so it was actually really helpful to have that journal that I could go back and um, find a line or two that was, oh, that's how I was feeling. I forgot that I was in that kind of emotional state.
The minutia of it's it's you can remember the big things. You remember you remember when the house fell down.
Right. Right.
But you don't
Right.
always remember what you were doing immediately before the house fell down.
Right.
So,
Right. Yes. Yes.
so it's that's so how did this is a question I like to ask authors. How is the finished product different from where you started and what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah. I I was really surprised by the cosmic synchronicity of it. Um, like, um, just how things unfolded. Um, and it's always kind of a lesson to me that, and I'm trying to write my next book, and it's coming along a lot slower. And just it's always just a reminder just to like keep writing. It will make sense later. I can't tell you when it'll make sense later, but it will make sense later. But just the things that happened. I mean, seeing that, when Andrew and I were on again, off again, and then, when he saw that Ronin license plate, I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and he did take a picture of it. It's actually the my screensaver on my computer because it's just so like, how does that even happen?
You can't make that
Um,
up.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and nobody would believe it if you did.
yeah, yeah. No, it's totally crazy. Um, so I think show up and do the writing, but then you kind of got to step back and just let whatever's going to step in. I do believe that there's some sort of creative spirit that is with us when we're um, doing anything that's kind of creative. I mean, it's just that feeling inside you, which is very different than, my journalistic work. Um, so yeah, I think just okay, I think this is what the story is, but then all of those like weird synchronicities that kind of just happened that kind of made the book what it was. Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
It does. As a musician and a podcaster, one of the things that I had to learn early in life and have kind of relied on it later on is learning how to get out of my own way.
Absolutely.
Just and allow things. This podcast that I do today is very different from the one that I had envisioned when I started about 10 years ago or so, and it's a completely different critter, and and I just had to let go. So
Hmm.
there was at a point where I felt like I was trying to, square peg round hole moments, and I said, back off.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. And then that's usually when something else steps in or you know, it solves itself somehow. I know that sounds really woo-woo or cliche, and it's a lot harder to do when you're in the moment,
Yeah.
but that has definitely been my experience.
So how does, because prior to the book, of course, you were working as a columnist, freelance. Well, you were also working as a ghostwriter, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people would ask, like, oh, what kind of writing do you do? I would say I do everything. And I think that was pretty accurate. Yeah, I was my last job in New York, I was working for an agency, so kind of writing marketing copy for companies,
Uh huh.
but in ghostwriting, like in the voice of the
Right.
company.
Right.
Um, yeah, so very, very, very different, you
So
know.
with that, and then plus some of your other essays that you've published prior to the book, how did that affect your writing process for doing the book, or
Yeah,
did it?
yeah, I mean, like, thank God. Well, I'll tell you what the turning point was, which was that when I was really at a very low point when I um got a submission into the Modern Love column in the New York Times, and that had really changed everything for me. Because it just felt like something had clicked with my voice,
Ah,
or that I felt like I had found it, or that it became easier to kind of lean into it. Um, I don't know what happened, but it was definitely that was kind of the moment where things opened up, and I thought, oh wow, like maybe I could actually do this and be published. And so that was kind of the first essay, personal essay that I had published. Um, and I just want to say, like, there's nothing wrong with being a marketing copywriter, or
oh yeah, sure.
I just I know there's a lot of ghostwriters and very successful ones. It just was that I was at the point where, like, I was more interested in developing my own voice or my own personal writing, that like that just it was just really trying to break through. um yeah, and so today even I'm still a journalist, so I'm still juggling that, but it's easier because I can um set my own hours. When I was in New York, when I was in New York, I had barely any creativity time because I had a full-time job, so doing the marketing, copywriting stuff. And then I was doing additional freelance journalistic work just to make more money to, like, afford to live in New York City, to have my own apartment. So I hadn't really created the right conditions for the creative life. And that was actually part of the reason I moved up here, was just um to save more money and to create more time and space to be creative. I think that's like half of the battle. And if I know that now I'm going to have a busy day with, work, then I will wake up at 5 so I can do my creative work ahead of time. So it just the whole scheduling stuff, and that has really opened up things for me.
But that gives you you have excuse me, the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
You got the elbow room. You're not on somebody else's string.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So excuse me.
That's okay.
But so you're still writing as a journalist, freelancing,
Mhm.
right? And the kind of writing you're doing for Dartmouth is what?
Yeah, so I write for a couple different departments there. So I'll write for the business school. And I'm actually doing some stuff now, just like working with professors on some of their research or interviewing alumni about like some of the stuff they're working on in their careers. I also do some stuff for MIT. So like taking really complicated faculty research and kind of making it more understandable for a general audience. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are the interviews I always have to record and transcribe so I can go back and listen to later like a million times. Wait, do I understand
Could
what
I
they're
get a
trying to
guitar
say?
player to understand this?
Yeah, yeah, hmm yeah.
That's funny. So, and you are also an astrologer, and you've written columns about that.
hmm
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I've always been the type of person who like I'm whenever I would pick up the newspaper, I'd always read my horoscope first. Like it's just where I went. And then when I was going through my divorce and I moved to Brooklyn, there was a like a wellness center very near my apartment that did astrology and crystal workshops and all of those kinds of things. And I just really like immersed myself in it and I was going there almost every weekend. Um and I just really enjoyed it. And then I started taking astrology classes, working with an astrologer one on one. And that was like almost 10 years ago now. And I would do like read an astrology chart for my friends or my friend up here, her daughters like loved it. So I would like do her daughter's charts. And then a few years ago, I started kind of doing it more like charging and it's
Oh,
still a small part of what I do. I mean, personally, I look at the astrology every day. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure how much of my life that's going to be a part of, but I do think it's very uh like pretty much everything I do is like reading, writing, interpreting. So there's really not a huge difference in trying to interpret what a brilliant MIT person is trying to say versus what the stars are trying to say.
okay,
So it's really just like translating information. Very different. One is obviously more spiritual
sure.
but
Does it influence how you write or how you
oh
the way you
yeah.
produce?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
In what way?
Yeah, I mean, every morning, when I do my morning pages, I will look at the astrology for the day. Um, and yeah, if something looks good in my chart, I will definitely be like, okay, this is probably a good day for me to definitely set aside some time to do some creative writing. I guess I can throw in a Mercury retrograde joke, because that seems to be the thing that most people relate to. But, um, we had a very difficult Mercury retrograde this year. And wow, it really hit me. It actually hit a lot of people around me. It was funny. I have my editor at MIT who is generally not into astrology, but wow, I think I've converted her because she's like, what is going on? So now they have to like keep me on the payroll. So because I'm their astrologer. But so yeah, definitely. Definitely. I will send out articles to like pitch to publications when the stars are aligned at a certain time. But I also believe that sometimes you can't control things, like I can't. I think some people think, okay, well, like Betsy's into astrology, so her life should be perfect, like, and that's not really how it works. So yeah, that's not really. I mean, like I can tell you what's going on, but I can't like change it or make something, better. I can't fix it. Um, and again, it's like sometimes things that shouldn't work, like moving to my dog's hometown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the whole premise to somebody like me, you just go, what? Why would you do? And your dog's hometown? I mean, just everything about that statement,
yeah,
and
yeah,
about that title just
yeah,
throws out questions all over the place. And it's just like,
yeah,
and it's like, what would prompt you to do that? Well, you get
yeah,
into the book, of course, and you explain that very well.
yeah,
And but then we begin to realize, at least I do, that as I was reading it, just how much, I don't know how to say this, how much of it I was able to relate to in my own
mm,
life. And I think that I think it's an every person's story. And
thank you. I hope so.
there are areas in there that, I mean, the story of the divorce. I mean, I was married once before, and a long time ago,
Hmm.
and so, but that failure of that marriage still haunts me. I love my wife. We've been married now for 47 years, and
Oh,
but
absolutely.
the failure of that first one still haunts me. And so as I'm reading your book, I'm going, yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
She's still got demons there.
Oh yeah, I absolutely. I mean, and you had asked earlier about like why write this book, and I think that writing it actually helped me make peace or make more sense of what happened in my first marriage. I
Uh-huh.
think out of everything I wrote in the book, I was very worried about writing about my marriage and like how it would come off. And I was worried about how my ex-husband would respond. I had a lot of anxiety over that, but
Uh-huh.
I'm glad that I wrote it because it helped me figure out some things and what I don't want to do in my second marriage. So,
Yeah, amen.
right? Yeah, you got to learn something, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, this whole thing was a waste of time. So, but so yes, indeed, indeed. So you also have you publish on Substack as Moonlight in Vermont.
Hmm.
I haven't read one of your articles there yet. I'm looking forward to it. I will say that I like the name of your Moonlight in Vermont is one of my favorite songs.
Oh my goodness. That's so cosmic that you said that because I have a couple versions of Moonlight in Vermont on a Spotify playlist and it came up this morning and I was like, I gotta get back to posting more on Substack. So, it's a beautiful song. Is there a version that you like?
Um, the first version I ever heard was by guitarist Charlie Bird, but I've heard a couple, and that was an instrumental version. And I've heard a couple of, I think Mel Torme. I think I heard him sing it. I went,
And
wow.
there's a Frank Sinatra version too.
Probably, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and such. I used to play music for weddings a lot, live music for weddings, and I'm a solo guitar player. I don't play in a band or anything, and I remember talking to a bride, and it's going back 20 years now, and she said, I'm going to have a father's dance. She says, we're not dancing really at our reception, but she says, I want to have one dance with my husband. She says, and she says, and he wants to have one dance with his mother, and I'd like to have one dance with my father. It's okay, fine. And she said, and my father's favorite song, she says, is called Moonlight in Vermont. She says, have you ever heard of that song? I says, oh God, I love that song. And I used to play it, and I says, and I will absolutely work it up. And she went, really? You've heard of it? Oh yeah. but yeah, it is just an absolutely lovely song. So when I saw the title, I went, yeah, yeah, Kindred Spirit.
Yeah, it's funny because, I when I had the book coming out, I'm a new author. This is all very new to me. I can do these things, but I'm way more comfortable being like behind the scenes and writing
Sure.
and doing the computer stuff. So so I knew I was going to have to start to put myself out there more. And so one of the things I was like, oh, okay, I'll start a Substack. But wow, I was like, what am I going to call it? I mean, it was like, titling a book or something. I
Oh yeah,
really
sure.
gave it more thought probably than it was worth. And it probably would not surprise you that the Substack Moonlight in Vermont is a beautiful song, but I have a dog whose name actually is Moonlight in Vermont.
Oh,
So because one of the things with the AKC, the American Kennel Club, I think I wrote about this in the book, but that every litter has a theme. And so this woman, Susan, the theme of my dog's litter was cosmic type stuff because they were all born on the eclipse or conceived on the eclipse. I can't remember which one. So I chose Moonlight in Vermont. So anyway, it has a lot of meaning for me. And on a practical level, I love Moonlight in Vermont. We we live on like a dirt road and there's this open field and it is just so stunning every time the moon is up and there's like a clearing and you can just see the moon. Actually, there's a full moon on Friday, so it's just magical. I mean, Vermont in decent weather is incredible.
well, I'm lucky enough that I work a lot or have worked a lot in northern Michigan and lived in northern Michigan, which is also it's a gorgeous place. It doesn't have the mountains that you have, but it's very hilly. And so it has these
Hmm.
big rolling hills and lovely vistas. And of course, we got the Great Lakes, and so and plus there are just all these thousands of little inland lakes. So we have a cottage up north, and it's on a little itty bitty lake. It's not a lake that you could go water skiing on. It's too small for that. It's just a good little fishing hole, and it sits in a valley. And I've seen eagles fish that lake before.
That's so
Just
awesome.
so just sitting out there and having coffee in the morning and seeing the mist on the lake, and it's like, oh. So I understand exactly what you're talking about with that, with the moonlight coming in like that. That's gorgeous. So yeah, I don't envy you because I have my own, but
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, but just, that appreciation of like just a quiet, peaceful place,
it's a long way from the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had people from Lansing who grew up in Lansing and or Detroit, and they come up north and visit us, and it's like they're surprised that without light pollution, you reach up and you feel like you could grab those stars and put them in your pocket. It's
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible. We're 10 minutes from Hanover. And Hanover is just a small town, but even that has quite a bit of light pollution. But
sure
just leaving 10 minutes and coming out here, it's just on a clear night. There's so many stars. It's just like
doesn't
you
get
feel so
better.
small and so big at the same time.
So what's your new book about? Can we talk?
Yeah, so I'm working on another memoir. And it's about it's a little bit like my last book in the sense that it's about the things. So one of the things that happened is my second husband and I, we tried to have kids and we couldn't have them. And this went on for several years, and it was really hard for me just for a lot of different
Oh,
reasons.
sure.
And it really forced me to, and I'm still examining it and trying to figure out where I land, but what do we do when things don't work out? And it's kind of it's like about the joy in the things that don't work out. I one of the things I discovered in this time when I discovered that I wasn't going to be a mom, at least in the way I thought I was going to be,
Uh-huh.
um, I discovered birding. So I volunteer at this nature center near my house, which has just been such a gift. Um, so they had these like incredible, owls and hawk. You were talking about eagles and hawks. So I volunteer there once a week, and in the summer, people bring in baby songbirds that have been orphaned from, the nest or something happens
Uh-huh.
to mom. And um, so anyway, and then another theme that's kind of coming through is, my dad and I were, I don't know if estranged might be a strong word, but
Distant.
as I was talking to you before, he had this really terrible heart condition where he almost died. He's
Uh-huh.
great now. I mean, he's back to like gambling on the ponies, so don't worry about him.
Glad to hear it.
But anyway, so um it's, my relationship with him it's incredible. It's actually the best it's ever been. It's not perfect, but like I actually kind of know who he is more than I ever did.
Uh-huh.
Um, so this book is very slow going, but that's kind of what it's about. It's like, these places that we end up, or these things we end up discovering, it doesn't take away the pain of the thing that we wanted, but wow, it actually really helps. Um, so yeah,
Well,
that was,
when the book is finished, I hope you'll consider coming back on the show and
oh, I would love to.
chatting about it some more. But at the moment, we're actually a little out of time. So what I'm going to do is say goodbye. And let's see here. Hang on. I say that. Again, like I say, I talk like I know what I'm doing. But anyway, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you again for coming on the show. It's very nice meeting you. And
Nice to meet you. Thanks for
good luck
having
with
me.
sales on the book. I hope it sells well for you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Betsy Vereckey for taking the time to come on the show. If you would like to know more about her, you can find a link to her website in the descriptions below. I'd like to thank you too for taking the time to listen. If you enjoy these podcasts, please share your favorite episodes with your friends and introduce them to Creative Conversations with Roger Humphrey.